Hey guys, today I have something rather interesting to show you. What you see here are two Philips Lifeguard 50 watt Mercury Vapour light bulbs. Now Mercury Vapour lamps are a type of high intensity discharge lamp that used to be commonly used for street lighting and other types of outdoor lighting. They're not so much anymore. Probably all of you, if you look out the nearest window, you'll probably be able to see at least one high-intensity discharge street lamp. The type of high-intensity discharge lamp that's used for outdoor lighting now is the high-pressure sodium lamp, which is the type of lamp that puts out the orangish color of light. But you can still see Mercury Vapour lamps here and there. Now what Mercury Vapour lamps are, they are the ones, you've probably seen them before, probably more in the past than today, but they are the light bulbs that put out the bluish color of light, where if you look at your skin under them, your skin's all grayish looking and your fingernails are all purple, and you look kind of like a zombie. That's probably the best description of it. But yeah, those lamps, those are Mercury Vapour lamps, and I have two of them here. I've been wanting to try some Mercury Vapour lamps. I've never owned any, and actually getting these lamps has finally begun to materialize. It's something that I've always wanted my whole entire life, going back as far as I can remember to when I was a toddler. I always wanted my own street light, and that seems kind of outlandish, but of course, as I've learned, since joining Lighting Gallery, that's actually not so outlandish as it seems. There are actually many people on Lighting Gallery who have perhaps several street lights, and they have them set up inside their home, lighting their living room and stuff. It's quite interesting. But I wanted to try some Mercury Vapour lamps, and I finally got a hold of them. Now there are two types of Mercury Vapour lamps. The most common type is just the regular type, and like fluorescent lamps, Mercury Vapour lamps, and all high-intensity discharge lamps, they require a ballast. The second type of Mercury Vapour lamp is the self-ballasted type, and how those work is, inside the lamp is a incandescent filament, and that serves as the ballast. So basically it's a mercury lamp and an incandescent lamp put into one bulb, and one ballasts the other, and it all works together very well, and you can just screw it into a socket. The smallest regular Mercury Vapour lamp is 50 watts, and they actually did make 40 watt lamps, but they're very rare to find today, and in general 40 and 50 watt Mercury Vapour lamps are considered one and the same. The smallest self-ballasted type is 100 watts. I was thinking, okay, in the end, there's several types of Mercury Vapour lamps going all the way up to like 1,000 watts. I thought, okay, I want to get either a regular 50 watt lamp or a self-ballasted 100 watt lamp. I wanted a self-ballasted lamp for simplicity, but the problem is they're quite expensive. You'll pay online about $25 to $30 before shipping for a self-ballasted lamp. So I kept the 50 watt regular lamp in mind as well, and also because they are of course a smaller wattage, although reportedly 100 watt self-ballasted lamps actually put out less light than 50 watt regular lamps. And a 50 watt Mercury Vapour lamp can be had for between $5 and $20 before shipping online. But in the end, I wanted to get whatever I could find cheapest and without having to go to some obscure website which I've never been to before. So I occasionally hunted eBay for these types of lamps. I never did find a 100 watt self-ballasted lamp on eBay, but as luck would have it, I came across these. I saw these on eBay accidentally, as a matter of fact. I forget how I came across them. I got these for a heck of a deal. I got both these bulbs for $10 and free shipping, so just $5 each. That's an amazing price for two Mercury Vapour lamps. Another thing is, these lamps weren't recently made. These are actually new old stock lamps. They are brand new, but they're old. These lamps were made in November of 1993. So that's pretty awesome, because like just about anything, older Mercury lamps are quite a bit higher quality than the ones you can buy today. And finally, another reason why it was such a good deal is that these are Philips Lifeguard lamps, which are touted on Lighting Gallery anyway as being the highest quality Mercury Vapour lamps ever made. Now the Lifeguard name originally belonged to Westinghouse. Westinghouse made mercury vapor lamps under the Lifeguard name. And then of course Philips bought out Westinghouse and they started using the name. The Westinghouse ones are higher quality than the Philips ones, but these ones are so much better than the stuff you can buy today that's made in China. These lamps, I think, were made... yeah, they were made in the USA. So there you go. So I'll take one lamp out right now to show you. They have this this thing on them that says, don't just screw it into a regular light socket because you'll blow it up. These do have just a regular socket on them. You can just screw them into any old light socket, but don't do that. They do need a ballast. There's what they look like. Kind of cool looking, eh? Cool shape to them. So, quite a small thing. You know, the more common ones, the bigger 160, 250 watt ones, they're usually, I think about that big maybe. And they have a bigger base on them, what's called a mogul base. Same type of screw base, but it's wider. And it's quite heavy. I believe the glass feels like it might be quite a bit thicker than glass you find on a regular light bulb, and it is quite a bit heavier than a regular light bulb. And if you look up there, you can see the arc tube in there. So how high intensity discharge lamps work is that inside this whole bulb here is basically another bulb, another smaller bulb, and that's where all the action actually happens. That's where all the chemicals are that an arc travels through to create light. Now for mercury vapor lamps, this outer bulb serves a very important purpose. Like fluorescent lamps, mercury vapor lamps generate very strong ultraviolet light. And so this outer glass here filters out that ultraviolet light so you don't destroy your skin and your eyes just by being in the presence of a running lamp. Now, with this being said, if you ever come across a mercury vapor bulb and the outer glass is broken but the inner arc tube is still intact, it'll actually still work. However, it'll be very dangerous because that hole in the glass or crack or break or whatever will allow ultraviolet radiation to escape, so you've got to be careful with that. Now you'll notice that this bulb is white in color. This is what's called a DX coated mercury vapor lamp. Now I mentioned mercury vapor lamps that are very blue in color and you'll look like a zombie under them. Those are clear mercury vapor lamps. They're clear, they have no coating on them, and you can see the arc tube inside and stuff. And this is what's called a DX coated lamp. And this is evidenced in the model there. It says DX. DX stands for deluxe white. This is called a deluxe white coating. And what this is this actually takes, it's basically a coating like you'd find on a fluorescent lamp. So what this coating actually does is it takes the ultraviolet radiation and converts it into visible light. This is awesome because first of all, the light that this bulb emits is not going to be that light blue color with the poor color rendering that makes you look like a zombie. The light the phosphor produces is kind of similar to a white fluorescent or a cool white fluorescent, but it's a very unique color, so I can't give a direct comparison of it. And for some reason, even though I would think that DX coating would have a standard color temperature, different websites specified a different color temperature even for the exact same make and model of bulb, anywhere from 3200 Kelvin, which is kind of a white fluorescent, up to 4000 Kelvin, which is cool white. Very beautiful color. It has kind of a purple tint to it, and it's very nice looking. And also, this phosphor coating increases the color rendering. A clear mercury vapor lamp has a color rendering index of between 15 and 25. In comparison, a warm white fluorescent lamp has a color rendering index of about 52, and a cool white fluorescent has a color rendering index of about 60. A DX coating brings the natural 15 to 25 color rendering index of a mercury vapor lamp up to around 45 or 50. So it makes the color rendering a lot better. And actually, a DX mercury vapor lamp produces light that's perhaps almost suitable for regular household use. I've heard, I don't know how true it is, but I've heard that in Japan they actually use mercury vapor lamps for standard indoor home lighting, which is kind of interesting. And finally, a DX coated mercury vapor lamp is actually more efficient than a clear mercury vapor lamp. A 50 watt DX mercury vapor lamp like this actually puts out more light than a 50 watt clear mercury vapor lamp would. So that's pretty cool. So yes, I'm very happy to have these bulbs because I was also glad that they were DX coated. I wanted a DX coated bulb, not a clear one, just because a clear one isn't really suitable for, you know, lighting to actually see by, actual useful lighting. Because if I had attained clear lamps, I wouldn't want to run them a lot just because the light they put out is so ugly. But these put out a very nice light, light that's almost suitable for regular constant use. So yeah, really happy to have these. Now another thing you may notice is in the model here it says 4050DX. While you can buy 50 watt mercury vapor lamps, these particular lamps are actually rated for 40 and 50 watts. So these were rated for being run on not only 50 watt mercury vapor ballast, but on the now very rare 40 watt mercury vapor ballast as well. Now I'll take out the other bulb here, just so you can see it. Have that warning on the tag there, that warning tag on the stem. Here's the other lamp, it's exactly the same. Oddly enough, this one doesn't have an etch on it, any identification, but this one does. You can see on it, upside down, it says Philips 4050 watt H4060L 4050DX, made in the USA. Now, like I said, 50 watt mercury vapor lamps are the smallest mercury vapor lamps that were ever made. They never made them in any wattages smaller than that. And another obstacle today in using these is finding a ballast for them. And 50 watt mercury vapor lamp ballasts are very rare to come by today. I've never seen one on eBay. I did look for one for a short while. However, another type of high intensity discharge lamp, the metal halide lamp, which if you've ever seen them, you can identify them because they put out a very beautiful, pure paper white light that has really good color rendering, and they're used to light gymnasiums and stuff. Although they do come in different color temperatures than the paper white light. But there do exist 35 watt metal halide lamps as well as ballast for them that are actually quite common to buy today. And 35 watt metal halide ballast will reportedly run 50 watt mercury vapor lamps very well. But here's perhaps the coolest thing. There is another type of ballast that has been known to work very well with these lamps, and that's actually a fluorescent lamp ballast. People on Lighting Gallery have tried it, and it works very well. A F40 T12 fluorescent lamp ballast runs these lamps very good. The arc voltage of a 50 watt mercury vapor lamp is about the same as that of an F40 T12. So the ballast certainly doesn't mind at all, and the lamp gets a decent amount of power, about 38-40 watts of power. So, you know, really nice. And of course, F40 T12 fluorescent lamp ballasts are extremely common to come by. And I have one for these lamps that I'm going to be getting for Christmas. It's currently sitting under the tree. But yes, they have been known to work very well. The lamps, like I said, they'll be very slightly underdriven. These lamps are actually rated for 40 watts, but for lamps that are rated for 50 watts only, they will be slightly underdriven, 38 or 40 watts, so they won't be as bright, and they'll take a lot longer to run up. You know, when you turn a high intensity discharge lamp on, if you've ever seen a street light start up, they start up very dim and then slowly get to full brightness. These lamps running on a proper mercury vapor lamp ballast would take probably 4 or 5 minutes to run up, but on a fluorescent lamp ballast you can probably expect to wait at least 10 minutes at least before they hit full brightness. But other than that, they do run very well, and an F40 T12 ballast will run these well enough that it doesn't reduce their lifetime at all. Now, you may be wondering, would you be able to perhaps use an incandescent ballast, which some people have experimented with fluorescent lamps? And the answer is no, you can't use an incandescent bulb to ballast these. The arc voltage is too high, and the 120 volts isn't enough to ignite the arc tube. Now if you live in 240 volt world, you may be able to ignite these with an incandescent ballast. And a question I raised when I heard of this was, well then how the heck do self-ballasted lamps that run on 120 volts work? Well, it turns out that those lamps have specially designed arc tubes with a much lower ignition voltage, so they're able to ignite straight from the 120 volts. Now some other facts. Mercury Vapour lamps, pretty much all of them, including these ones, are rated for 24,000 hours of runtime. Now that's a rating, but really, in reality, these will last pretty much forever. And forever's a strong word, but really, there has been, you know, examples of these that just keep going for decades, 50, 60 years. And the reason is that really Mercury Vapour lamps don't just burn out, you know, like other types of lamps do. They just get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer over time. So really the 24,000 hour rating is how long the bulb will run and keep putting out a decent amount of light. But even after that, usually, more often than not, these will just keep on going. They just won't be as bright anymore. And I don't have very many numbers to go by, but some people on Lighting Gallery have stated that it's not uncommon for these to do 400, 500,000 hours. So yeah, really impressive. So quite a nice thing about these lamps is that these should theoretically do me for the rest of my life. These should be the only bulbs I'll ever have to buy in my entire life. So we'll see, and that should be pretty funny. I do plan on only using and running one of these, and it'll be this one without the etch. And this one that does have the etch, I'm gonna just save and keep for safekeeping, or in case this one ever does burn out. So I've told you that I have a ballast that I'm going to be getting for these lamps for Christmas. It's an F40T12 preheat fluorescent lamp ballast. Of course, these only have 2 contacts on them, so a preheat ballast is all you need. Although a rapid start will work just as fine, just 2 of the wires won't be connected to anything. But I need a fixture to run these in too. So as luck would have it, a couple weeks ago I went to the Restore and I found this. Anyone ever seen these before? Perhaps your grandparents have one in their kitchen or something? One of these glass drum ceiling lights. I really love these. My grandparents used to have one in their kitchen, but then they replaced it with a new fixture. And I've always really liked these fixtures, but I found this at the Restore. And as luck would have it, that day was also half off day. All lighting and plumbing and stuff was half off. And this had a $10 sticker on it, so I got it for $5. So that's pretty good. And it's in good shape. It's just a little rusty on this plate here. But that's all that's cosmetically wrong with it, and there's nothing mechanically or functionally wrong with it. It's very nice. And the glass drum, there's no cracks or chips or anything. It's in great shape. And as you can see, of course, part of the reason I like these is just because the glass detailing, the detailing on the glass drum, just so intricate and very nice. I have no idea how old this fixture is, because even today I think you can still buy fixtures that are similar to this. But judging by the labels and stuff and just how it looks, this might be from the 1960s or 1970s. I don't really know. So there it is. Here's what's inside it. It's got 2 sockets, and each socket has a set of wires coming out of it. It's rated for 60 watts per socket, and it was made by a company called Artcraft of Montreal. Artcraft is still in existence, including their Montreal division. Now, this doesn't say where it was made, but I would bet this was made in Canada. And it's very high quality. It's got porcelain sockets on it, which unfortunately, both the sockets have chipped in the same place, so they wiggle around and stuff, but they are otherwise secure. X55, not sure if that might have been the model name or something. It's got the thing there to mount it. And this glass drum's very nice. It's very heavy. It's gotta weigh like 5-6 pounds. And the glass is gotta be 1/4 of an inch thick, maybe. Very, very nice. And of course, one of the Mercury Vapour lamps will just screw right in there, just like that. Now, one concern I have is, where am I going to put the ballast? Well, this plate here can be removed to reveal an internal compartment that goes from this plate here up to, I believe, here where this ridge is. This part and this part does separate, so you can get inside this place here. So you have a place about this deep, but unfortunately I looked at the specifications for the ballast that I'm getting. It's an advanced model L140F TP, and it's like a quarter of an inch higher than this depth here. So I'm not sure if I'll actually be able to fit it inside this fixture. If I can't, I can just put it in the main part here, or perhaps I'll just stick it up here, or perhaps I will put it in the main compartment and I'll cut out a place here so it'll fit. I don't know. I'll figure it out when the time comes. Now, I have, even though I don't have the ballast for them yet, I have tested and run these lamps, and I will test them and run them for you today. So, you may wonder, well, what have I used to run these lamps? Well, you might see something missing up from that top shelf of my shelf there, and it's my 30-watt fluorescent strip light. I have used the ballast from this strip light, which was designed to run an F30 T12 and perhaps probably an F40 T12 lamp, and I have used it to run these Mercury Vapour lamps, and it works beautifully. They are probably slightly underdriven. I don't know because I don't have a multimeter capable of measuring AC current. But I do know by measuring the arc voltage of the lamps as it warms up, more on that later, that these lamps are driven hard enough by that ballast to run correctly, and there's no problems. And of course, because these lamps basically emulate an F40 T12 lamp, the ballast doesn't mind at all. It just thinks it's running a 40-watt fluorescent lamp. So yeah, it's been working great. What I do is I just, like I said, you just need a preheat ballast. This is a rapid start ballast, so it has 2 wires for each side of the lamp, but I just use 1 wire. I connect 1 wire from one side into 1 wire here, and 1 wire from the other side into this wire here. And the other 2 wires, they can just stay unconnected. And it works really great. So this is what I'm going to do for you right now. I'm going to set this up. We're going to set it up on the floor. I'm going to screw one of these lamps in. I'm going to use this one, the one that I plan to use while I keep this one safe. Screw this lamp in there, hook it up to my 30-watt fluorescent strip light, and we are going to power it on and watch these lamps work. So it should be great. So, oops, I will be right back. Alright, we're all set up and ready for action, so here's how this works. There's 2 blue wires coming out of the ballast that go into this lamp holder here. I just have one of the blue wires connected to one of the wires on the lamp holder here, and the other blue wire is just sitting idle, not connected to anything. There's also 2 red wires coming out over here, and I have 1 red wire connected to the other wire of the lamp holder, and the other red wire is just sitting idle, not connected to anything. I have my multimeter set to measure AC voltage put across the terminals here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I forgot to mention, if you ever plan on trying some of these and perhaps using a fluorescent lamp ballast to run them, do not use an electronic ballast. That's an absolute no-no. Me or nobody I know has ever tried it. But apparently an electronic ballast, the high frequency, these won't run right on high frequency AC, and you risk destroying the bulb by doing so. So magnetic ballast only, apparently. And there was something else I want to oh yeah, about the arc voltage thing. Now, I am not very knowledgeable on this, but I'll tell you basically what I can gather. So don't take this as gospel, but this is from my own observations. But any discharge lamp, be it a high intensity discharge or a low intensity discharge like a fluorescent lamp, they have a particular voltage that they run at. Now the particular voltage for a 50-watt Mercury Vapour lamp is about 100 volts. That's the arc voltage of it. And basically what that means is, completely independent of the ballast you run it on, if you measure the voltage across the lamp while it's running, and it's running properly for this particular lamp, it'll be about 100 volts. And that's completely independent of the voltage that the ballast puts out. For example, I know that this particular ballast has an open circuit voltage of about 200 volts. So if I were to not have this ballast connected to anything and measure the voltage with the multimeter, it would read about 200 volts AC. But with it connected to this bulb or any lamp, it won't read 200 volts as long as that lamp is running properly. It'll read whatever the particular arc voltage for that lamp is. So you'll only get the reading on the multimeter as a function of basically what type of lamp it is and how it's running. Now for a mercury vapor lamp, this is quite interesting because, as I've said, the arc voltage for this particular lamp is about 100 volts. But when you first turn it on and it's cold and it hasn't warmed up, the arc voltage is actually much lower. I've measured it, and when you first turn these on, the arc voltage is only like 10 volts, and then it slowly goes up as the lamp warms up. Now that does introduce a bit of stress on the ballast. I imagine for a proper mercury vapor ballast it wouldn't mind at all. It's designed to do that. But for a fluorescent lamp ballast that's designed to run a lamp that always has a particular voltage, regular fluorescent lamps, they don't have a warm-up period. They just start up and you're good to go. This does introduce some stress on it because the lower the arc voltage is, the smaller the smaller of a fluorescent lamp the ballast thinks it's seeing. So for example, when it's fully warmed up, this will be about 100 volts. That's actually about the same arc voltage, as I said earlier, of an F40T12 fluorescent lamp. So when the bulb's fully warmed up, this ballast will think that it's running an F40T12. No problem at all. When the ballast first starts up, however, the arc voltage is much lower, and the ballast thinks that it's running a much smaller lamp. And as I believe I've said before, magnetic fluorescent lamp ballasts do not like to run lamps smaller than what they're designed to run. They'll do it, but they won't like it, and in many cases it can be detrimental. As I've said, I've had no problem with this ballast. This ballast seems to be happy as a clam running these lamps, but just a little bit of interesting electrical theory there. Like I said, I don't know how arc voltage works. Anyway, what you're going to see here when I turn it on, the lamp's going to be very dim, and the voltage is going to be very low. And also, something you only see with DX-coded lamps like this one is, when you first turn it on, only like a particular chemical of the phosphor is going to be excited. So instead of being the, kind of yellowish or purplish whitish color that it's supposed to be, it'll be a very deep red, and it's very cool looking. So, 3, 2, 1, contact. There it is. There's the arc voltage. And you can see it slowly going up. So almost 20 volts. And get a look at that. Is that pretty or what? Very deep red color. If you can see the arc tube there, the arc tube itself is blue. So it's not the color of the arc tube, it's just the color of the phosphor. And you can hear the ballast humming. The ballast is humming a bit louder than what it normally does because it's being stressed a bit more. Because the arc voltage is so low, the ballast doesn't really like it. Our arc voltage is actually dropping a bit. Oh, also I wanted to time this. Where's my phone? It is currently... So let's say I turned it on at 6:03. I just want to see how long it takes to get to 100 volts. I haven't actually timed it yet. So here you go. The bulb is now emitting kind of a, I guess kind of a yellowish color, yellowish pinkish color. So I'll cut the camera off here, and we'll come back once it's warmed up a little more. It's not as visible to the camera as it is to the naked eye, but when the lamp is cold and it's quite dim, you can clearly see the arc tube right about there shining through the phosphor. So you get the phosphor's own color, but then you can see the blue color of the arc tube itself. And our voltage is 25 volts after 3 minutes. You can see the arc voltage increasing quite rapidly. It'll taper off once it gets to about 60 or 70 volts. Getting brighter. Now we can, of course, put the glass drum back on. And there you go. That's what a glass drum fixture looks like with a Mercury Vapour lamp. I think it looks pretty darn cool. And as far as I can tell, at least as far as lighting gallery goes, this is the first time a glass drum light fixture has been converted to run a Mercury Vapour lamp. A couple of guys on Lighting Gallery, or at least one that I know of, has been successful in converting several of them to run circline fluorescent lamps, which looks pretty cool, but I've never heard of anyone converting one to run Mercury Vapours. So I have committed a first here. The arc voltage is 54 volts after 6 minutes. So the voltage, the lamp is pretty much emulating an F20 T12 now, so the ballast feels like it's running an F20 T12. Alright, after about 12 or 13 minutes, I actually missed it once again because I had to empty my memory card. The lamp has run up to full brightness, and the arc voltage is actually reading quite high this time. It's 116 volts, but whatever. And the lamp is running beautifully, and the ballast, it's nice and cool. It runs a lot cooler than it does running the F30 T12 that it was designed for. Get a good look at that lamp. Oh, I think you got a good look at the arc tube glow there. Yeah, there it is again. Very, very beautiful. And these actually make a lot of heat. It's actually, it's about as hot as probably a 40 watt incandescent, so quite warm. And the light it puts out, probably about equivalent to a 100 watt incandescent running on this ballast. If it was running on a proper 50 watt ballast, it'd probably put out a bit more, probably close to 150 watt incandescent. But there it is nonetheless. And I should mention that that's how you would measure how much power a discharge lamp is getting, is you multiply the arc voltage by the current. So I'd have another multimeter set to measure AC current in between one wire of the ballast and a wire of the lamp holder. And I'd multiply those two values together to get something in watts. I don't know if I'd have to measure... Yeah, I think I'd have to multiply by power factor too, but I'm not that sure. But anyway, there it is. I'll turn the ceiling light out here. And there, this is what this room looks like, lit only with 50 watt Mercury Vapour lamp. Now, that DX coat, this really does a great job. If I set my hand down here, you can see, you know, my skin looks natural, and it just looks very nice. The color rendering, like I said, not that great. It's only 45 or 50. In comparison, a cool white fluorescent is around 60 or 65, and of course an incandescent and the sun is 100. But you know, it's very usable for, you know, working or playing under or whatever, and you know, for having to be under for a long period of time. You know, your eyes won't get screwed up because all they see is blue light. And no, it works really great. It's very nice and a very beautiful color. It's got a purplish tint to it. I think the camera's picking up the color pretty accurately. But no, it looks absolutely great. So there you go. Now I'm going to do one more thing before I go. Turn some more lights back on here. What I'm going to do is show the hot restrike. Now, high intensity discharge lamps, once they warm up, if you were to turn it off and turn it back on, they won't immediately restart. Now, a fluorescent lamp, where it's not a high intensity discharge source, it's just a low pressure mercury source, that's pretty much, Mercury Vapour lamps and fluorescent lamps are pretty much the exact same. The only difference is the pressure. A fluorescent lamp is what's technically called a low pressure mercury lamp, and a Mercury Vapour lamp is what's technically called a high pressure mercury lamp. Just the pressure in the arc tube's different. But with fluorescent lamp, you know, I can turn it off and turn it back on, and you know, you can just instantly restart it as soon as you turn it off. High intensity discharge lamps, you can't. So what I'll do is I'll turn this off, and when I turn it back on, nothing happens. There's no glow from the arc tube, but you will eventually see it start back up. And this is called a hot restrike. So we're getting an arc voltage of that, which I find quite interesting. I thought it would just show the 200 volts of the open circuit voltage of the ballast. Sometimes you can see a tiny glow from the arc tube during this phase, but I don't see one. This is actually the first time I've done a hot restrike, so I'm quite interested to see what it'll look like. Of course, it'll just come back on at partial brightness and then warm back up. Now, interestingly enough, I have seen a video of a metal halide lamp that was able to hot restrike instantly. It had what looked like filaments on it, and that's why it was able to, oh, did you see that? We're getting close. It's trying. The voltage is around 70 to 80 volts. Blink, blink. Oh, almost. The frog's getting excited. The voltage is 150 volts, 200 volts, 230 volts. I thought the open circuit voltage was only 200 volts. What the heck? I'll have to remeasure it, but it's showing 250 volts on the multimeter, and there you go. Hot restrike, the voltage is now 18 volts, 19 volts, so we've pretty much started right back to square one. But there you go. There is a hot restrike. Alright, 17 minutes after the hot restrike. We are back to 100 volts. So I think that's pretty much all to show. What I will show though is what the globe looks like on it at full brightness. Because I believe I only showed the globe when it was still warming up. So turn the lights off here. There you go, that's what it looks like. I think this will be a very cool fixture once I hopefully get it all put together with the ballast I'm getting. And here's what the room looks like. And yeah, so I'm not sure where I'll actually put the fixture itself. I don't know if I'll just set it up on my shelf, or maybe I'll attach it to the ceiling in the basement, although that would mean it wouldn't get much use. But hopefully I'll figure something out. But there you go. There are my new Philips 40 and 50 watt Mercury Vapour lamps, as shown, running on a ballast designed to run F30T12 and maybe F40T12 lamps, and running in a very nice vintage glass drum ceiling light fixture. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed these lamps. I'm certainly glad I got them. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will see you guys next time.